What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode with the Crypto Mavericks. You know, my co host Brian today. Super excited. Returning guest Matt Schorr, lead producer of NBA Top Shot. Welcome, Matt, back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Good to be back and good to hang out with you guys, talk basketball, talk top shots, talk anything under the sun. Just fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Looks like your collection's expanded. There's so much stuff going on with Top Shop, the WNBA, so we're going to get into it. We're not going to go too much into your background. People can catch the last episode. We just want to dive straight into basketball questions. It's been
Oh
exciting,
yeah.
hasn't it, with the playoffs and with WNBA loading up. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, so the playoffs have been extremely exciting, and I think there's like all this narrative about everybody wanted Knicks Lakers and the league wanted Knicks Lakers, but I mean this Thunder and this Pacers team, they are just fun to watch, and I think we're seeing a paradigm shift in the NBA in real time where GMs are starting to take notice. Hey, we need young guys that are going to run and play defense in every possession. We got to stop going after these 35, 36 year olds because they have playoff experience. Playoff experience doesn't mean anything when everybody's running past them and out rebounding them and out hustling them. And this paradigm shift is quite interesting. And there's so many good young players that wind up going out of the league in favor of veterans and they go over to Europe. And I was watching that Olympiakos final over in the Greek league, and there's 15, 20 ex-NBA players over there that are young guys that are just busting their ass. It's a great paradigm shift in my opinion. And I think seeing a lot of these younger guys get more run and more opportunities is going to make the league a lot more fun.
Super exciting. I think viewership is up also. And I also saw a stat that was interesting. They're like, well, are we going back to the old guard? They're like, these top two teams in the finals shoot the least amount of threes, or they made the least amount of threes, right? I'm like, okay, I could get down with that. I think we got 2-3 heavy these last few years. And so I thought that was an interesting stat. And but you guys must love Halliburton. I mean, he's helping you make product in the Top Shot world. Is that right? What the Hallie?
Yeah, what the Hallie? It's kind of wild. If you remember, Halliburton was one of our first like player ambassadors for Top Shot. Was super into the product. It was him and Josh Hart, and the cameos from JJ Redick, because him and Josh Hart were living together back then. And we had a bunch of guys that were into the product, and Halliburton was one of them. I know Jacob still chats with him and sends him messages, and it's just really cool to see it because he's such a good guy, was so easy to work with, was so generous with his time, and seeing him excel at this stage is just really cool to see. And obviously this year's playoff campaign, we did things a little bit differently, and we've had some higher tier moments come out, but playoffs is one of those things where you want to make sure that the moments get the juice that they deserve. I think in the past we've had trouble doing that because we've had a little bit too rigid of a setup. And so this year we did something a little bit different, and we're going to learn from it and keep trying. The playoffs is hard for fast break, is hard for the product to keep people interested all the way through, and people's teams get eliminated. They tune out, they move on to the next sport. They're watching their baseball team now or whatever it may be. So all those things make it really tough time of year, and so we have to keep trying to innovate and keep trying things until we find a home run. And there are some good things, there are some bad things, but we're learning. We're a 5-year-old product, and this is the time where we have to learn and get things right.
Yeah, the only gripe I have about Hallie, one is we passed on him in San Francisco. We picked Wiseman, who's like out of the league almost. And then my SAC friends, they passed on him. They traded him back or traded him away. So all my SAC friends who's next to the Bay Area, they're like complaining. We're just all complaining about Hallie.
Well, I'm
But
complaining too because our GM apparently passed on trading for him when we could have gotten him for Ben Simmons, and I'm like, so I was a Halliburton fan when he was in college, and I don't know if we talked about this last time I was on, but I play in a very serious fantasy college basketball league, and Halliburton was a triple double threat every night, and just awesome, awesome to watch. And so it's great seeing it come to life here. Like there are other players that have just like tore it up in college and then like had a ho hum career in the NBA. I'm just glad that worked out for Halliburton. It's just really fun to watch that dude play basketball.
And back to the Top Shot product with the playoffs. I've been more engaged with Top Shot playoff products, but for the people who stay up late at night in the East Coast, it's probably hard for them to get some of these playoff moments. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, when there's buzzer beaters, which there were a ton. Aaron Gordon, I mean Brunson had some good moments. Hallie had four of them. You guys did like impromptu drops, I would like to say. I didn't even get the email. I'm like, dude, and I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, I just missed out on the drop. Me and my friends texting like, how dare they drop it? And we're in the West Coast, so we're earlier. The people in the
Right.
East Coast like drops at like 1 a.m. Like, right? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, yeah. We've been trying to do like short windows, like pre-order windows for the higher price pack that has a higher percent chance of hitting the rare, legendary, ultimate. But we do put out packs that are on sale instantly where you can pull all those moments as well. Just to make sure that everybody has a chance to go after it. But one of the big things we talked about internally going into this playoffs, and we've been talking about it for a while. If you remember, the first real test of this was the Bronny James MGLE, which we got up instantly. And there were a lot of things we needed to work out with our partners, with approvals, with internal processes to get it to where it needed to be. With any company, there's turnover, there's processes that needs to change. So we finally got to a place where we're like, all right, it's the playoffs. We got to make sure that the best stuff gets out as quickly as possible. And groups of us jump on a call, and we're on the call till 1 a.m. and we get this stuff live and out there. And we see competitors such as Tops get stuff out the next day. We decide that's too long of a wait. We want to get it out the same night because we can. And so, we're going to continue trying to upgrade that process and get it more seamless and quicker. And I think that's something that is here to stay. And you'll see more of it as we move forward.
Last question for Brian. I'm sorry, I'm just taking all the questions. I had the last question about this playoff run and the moments there because so the ultimates now. Before I always thought there were one, but then there's supernovas, which is like one of one. How's that
Out
been?
of 10. Yeah.
Out of 10, right? So
Yeah.
how's that reception been? Supernovas, okay, let me clarify. Supernovas one, ultimate up to 10. How's that reception been for those products? Because those are newer tiers from this last year, right?
Yeah, so we rolled them out with rookie ultimates. So Wembanyama one of one, Chet one of ones. We have the rookie ultimates. We also have the rookie ultimates for WNBA. By the way, Caitlin Clark one of one is still out there. More to come on that in the next couple weeks, I hope. But Supernova was introduced over the summer. Those are out of 10, and the entire set is a very clear narrative, which is first game of MVPs. So every moment in that set is the very first game played by a league MVP. So you can go through the ones that are already out there, and you can go through the
Right.
list of players that aren't out there yet and see, who's coming and who we're trying to get. Um, but ultimates in the playoffs are also out of 10. And the thought process there was, hey, if something really amazing and memorable happens, it should have representation at the highest tier we have to offer.
Hmm.
If you go back and look through, the whole product, there's probably a lot of moments that probably would have deserved that in the past. The Kawhi Leonard shot, for example, is a legendary. That's an ultimate moment. That's a top 10 play in the history of the NBA. And so we want to make sure that those plays are properly taken care of and properly indexed in the product. And so, we have a few more that came out during the playoffs, but we always want to make sure we don't overdo it because then it loses that special touch. Like, look what's happening in cardboard. One of ones used to be like the greatest, most hyped thing. There are so many one of ones now that it's sort of lost some of its luster. And so we want to make sure that we don't go too far in that direction where that can happen. But at the same time, we want to have that special chase that people can go after and really, be excited about. And so that's what we've tried to do here in the playoffs.
Is it the Caitlin Clark Ultimate here, the one of one that you're talking about that doesn't look like it's found?
Well, it
Top.
hasn't been found because it hasn't come out yet.
Oh, okay.
We were so I can give a little bit of the story here. I don't want to go too deep into it, but we were working with Sotheby's last year, and we were
Ooh.
going to get a auction on Sotheby's for the Caitlin one of one with a jersey and all that stuff. It was going to be a lot of fun, and just talks with partners, Caitlin's team just weren't able to get over the finish line, and so by the time those talks had gotten to a point where they weren't able to go further, the season was over. We kind of missed our window of doing it in a impactful way. She had just gotten eliminated from the playoffs. If she had stayed in, it's very possible it would have come out. But just making sure we do it the right way this season, working with our partners, making sure everybody's fully aligned so we can get the information out there and get people hype about the way it's going to come out.
I didn't even know there was an ultimate there. Now I'm looking at it. It's beautiful. So is it going to be released this year?
That's the hope. It'll be released during this WNBA season. Yeah.
And it's going to be an auction style you're looking for, or you're just not, that's to be determined.
Yeah, that's to be determined because we're still having those conversations with all parties involved. Caitlin is in some ways, bigger than the game. And so that leads to conversations that go a little bit deeper than compared to some other players.
Caitlin, she listens to the show. So, Caitlin, drop it. We'll do
give us the green light. Caitlin.
Give us green light. Yeah. Well, great stuff. Good segue to the WNBA, right? The WNBA season you guys just launched a Rookie Moments debut pack, which not astoundingly, but it's successful. I mean, everything sold out immediately. Like, you can't even get a pack for like less than double the price right now. Paige, I didn't think she was going to be. Most of my colleagues who collect WNBA, they were like, oh, let's just put in a lower pre-order amount because they didn't think Paige would be that big of a draw. Maybe don't watch as much college, and I don't watch as much college. I was surprised. I was like, wow, her debut is more than Caitlin Clark's when it first happened. Maybe because all the supply's not out yet, but I find that surprising. Right. What's been your kind of take on it on both sides as a collector and as a TopShot?
Yeah, so it's interesting. You bring up a great point about the amount that are out in circulation. We released a lot more at the start of last season than we did here. If you go into Paige's rookie debut moment, there's still more than half of them in packs, or in our inventory still, and so. I think part of that is helping keep the price up, which is a good thing ultimately. And I think it's going to settle down a little bit as more and more of the moments come out. But yeah, she's extremely popular. She was extremely popular in college. She's got quite the larger than life personality, and I think that people are drawn to that. And this year with the autograph moments, the signature series, I think hers is close to $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so imagine what a Caitlin Clark at a 50 rookie debut signature series would have been. I would imagine it would be at least 2.5 times that, if not higher. Just based on what you see in cardboard for any signature of hers. Obviously, she's pretty generous with the signatures at games and stuff, but in terms of cardboard, there's just not a ton of it yet. So anyway, Paige is awesome, and like we're really excited that we were able to meet with the players before the season started and get a bunch of these rookie signatures. One of the ones that we're not able to use because she's out for the season is Georgia Moore, who would have been part of this next drop coming. So we're only going to have 4 signatures instead of the 5 that we were planning there. But it's cool that we got signatures on there. The signatures are on chain, they're verifiable. If you go onto the actual edition page, you can see the video of them signing on the iPad, so you can see the exact way they made the signature, which is really, really cool. And I don't think that everybody realizes that that's there, but that's literally the video of them using their finger to sign their autograph on the iPad that we gave them.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, why did they do it? Well, not why. I was wondering how you guys did it. So interesting. It was on iPad, and you guys, that's the real movement of it.
which is what we did with Bird and Magic as well. We have an app on the iPad that records them doing their signature, and then we import that video into the page so people can see the exact way that they made their signature, which is really cool because you see signatures on cards, you're like, how the heck did they do that? Here you can
Yeah.
actually see every stroke that made the letters and made the signature, which to me is super, super cool. And we're gonna try to expand on that as much as we can. I've always talked about an idea where we have a player come to a signing event and you can pull up any one of their moments and they have a signature that they write on a phone and they literally will tap their phone together and it'll attach the signature to that moment, and it'll have the
Wow.
video of that particular signature, and each one would be different. And I think we'll get there. I don't think we're as far away from that as we used to be, and so that kind of stuff is really exciting to me. As you see in cardboard, you have jersey pieces and pieces of shoes, and then in like some baseball cards, you have pieces of bats and pieces of the hardwood and pieces of basketball, whatever. So we're still working on ways that we can start, bringing that sort of stuff into the
Mm.
product as well. Getting game balls, cutting them up, having fractionalization, all sorts of
Ooh.
stuff like that, which could be really cool in the future.
Dang. Okay. I didn't even know to ask that question, but that's awesome. So new tech you guys working on, progress in crypto overall. That's great to see that's flowing over to TopShot, and good to see that you guys are in it. I'm excited. I'm excited. I mean, I've been excited because the All-Star weekend was in San Francisco. We got a new expansion team, the Valkyries. Shout out to them. They just beat the Sparks.
Yeah,
Yeah, people had different views on the Sparks. Some people think they're not that great. I mean, they had a better record than Valkyries, but we won last night. That's all I got to say.
yeah, you guys
Um,
look good.
yeah, we're looking good. We're looking good, and I'm excited for the new expansion teams coming next year, which is what, Toronto and Portland, I believe, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, the league expansion is pretty amazing to watch. There are so many good players that get cut every year because there's just
yeah.
not enough spots in the league, and they might run into a problem that I think is happening in the NBA, which I don't know that there's necessarily 30 teams worth of top tier
Right.
players. And we see that every year that there are a lot of teams that are just not competitive, and so I think the WNBA has to be really careful with how quickly they expand because they could run into those type of issues pretty quickly.
Let me tell you, the Valkyries Stadium. Like, I went to playoff games for Warriors this year, and if Steph didn't get injured, we'll be in the finals. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. But the Valkyries with like a 1-4 record, when I went to the game, they were like twice as loud as the Warriors in the playoff game. I'm like, what's
Wow.
happening? Like, it's crazy. Like, we have a very rabid fan base. People are just loving the WNBA.
I mean, it's a fun product, and obviously it's not the same as the NBA. You're not going to have the women running down the court with these acrobatic dunks and whatnot. But I think once you just let yourself enjoy the game for what it is, it becomes incredibly enjoyable. They fight hard. They bust their asses down low. Their passing is phenomenal. The backdoor cuts, the movement on the court. Obviously, the shooting is a little bit lower percentage, and the flashiness is a little bit less. But as a game of basketball, I mean, if you liked 90s basketball, I mean, WNBA and early 2000s basketball, WNBA is very similar to what we saw in the NBA during that time period.
Brian's got 3 girls. It's burgeoning career. Like, salaries going up. Brian, get him in the basketball camp now.
I do have one daughter that plays basketball. It's quite a bit. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I find myself. Caitlin Clark got me watching WNBA. I'm the stereotype. Every time if she's on TV, I absolutely stop to watch an Indiana Fever game. I don't know
Yep.
anything else that's going on in the WNBA. I know who Paige is, but probably because I was watching her and Caitlin a little bit in college, and I was excited to see what she did. So but I think you said earlier in the show how much the ratings have fallen off with Caitlin being hurt. I don't really want to watch a game if she's not playing. So I'm right with everyone.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the NBA that are like that. Like if they're not playing, you're not going to watch the game if you're a casual or a neutral fan. But there's some sort of gravity about Caitlyn and the way she plays that like it's must see TV. It was like when Luka went to the Lakers. Like you had to watch
Yeah.
those games. There was just some gravity about the situation that made you say, I cannot miss this. And WNBA has never had a player that's like, I cannot miss this player. And so it's really interesting. We'll see how it continues going. But like my son watches Dude Perfect and he's like, Daddy, Caitlin Clark was on Dude Perfect.
Oh, she was.
And he's just watching it over and over and over and over again. And he's obsessed. He's got a Caitlin Clark jersey he wears to school all the time. Like absolutely like loves her. And
That's
he's not a
awesome.
huge he's 5 years old. He's not like a huge basketball fan by any means, but like when she's on the TV, like he is locked in. He has to watch. And then, he started watching basketball with me at a very young age, of course, big Sixers fan. And famously, there's a video that my wife has where we're sitting on the couch. He's 2 years old. And Joel Embiid had one of his clumsy turnovers in crunch time. And I'm like, come on, Joe. And my son just goes, come on, Joe. And like, and there's a video of him. And then every time he saw him touch the ball, he would just yell, come on, Joe. It became
Oh,
like a running joke. But like, it's funny how like kids will pick up on the players that are sort of larger than life. And Embiid is very much a larger than life personality. And it was so funny how he just quickly picked up on it. Same thing happened with Keelan. He just immediately picked up that there was an aura. There was something special. Every time he touched the ball, he would get excited. And, that kind of stuff is really cool to see, especially for a sport that has been trying to, really gain a foothold. They finally have that player that's going to do it for them. And, hopefully they're the marketing team and the whole front office over at the WNBA doesn't fumble this opportunity because it is a once in a generation opportunity. And man, did they need that shot of adrenaline?
yeah. I think a lot of people who fall in love with WNBA now is just a lot more coverage. They did great with social media, which is a good segue for you guys. Also, a question for you guys later is that there's a lot more coverage now from athletes themselves, versus like WN themselves. Like Brinks has her own podcast, Cameron Brinks. Hope she comes back. And Sabrina Ioannidis' shoes, like the top selling shoe in the NBA, and then Angel
Well,
Reese's
it's
shoe.
not only the top selling shoe in the NBA, it's the most worn shoe by
Right.
NBA players.
Yeah, it's the coverage is great. Like there's good media pieces getting out there, and it makes sense. And I just watched a Netflix special of Reebok and Angel. I didn't know Angel Reese had Reebok exclusive, and I was looking and
Yep.
getting one because I grew up with the Iversons. I grew up, watching Shaq. It's just a lot more coverage overall, a lot more media. People are getting more personal. I was just telling my dad the other day, nothing basketball related. I was like, golfers now are YouTubers. Like it makes me want to golf, and I'm not even a golfer, but because I see the coverage, like it makes me just fall in love with the character and whatnot. So, are you guys doing anything different on the social media side of the world, or just media in general? I know last time we got you on, you're like, hey, we're focusing on correcting all the the mints and the drops and we're working on marketing and drawing new users and retaining users. How's that been? Are you guys going to focus on different strategies moving forward?
Yeah, so I think what we really need is we need to bring in somebody that has like true expertise with TikTok and Instagram and really get us more of a footprint there. Our whole product is videos. What better place to get
Right.
them seen than video platforms? And so I think transparently we still have a lot of work to do on that front. Our comms have gotten a lot cleaner. We haven't had to do many retractions or scrambles, which has been really nice. And so I think we're starting to find a new voice with our socials, but I think it's sort of like a team effort, and I think it really needs a dedicated person that's going to go in there that has a lot of experience with sports, social media, and quite honestly, somebody that's younger. I'm almost 40, and so I was there at the start of Twitter, and I've seen it evolve. But TikTok, Instagram Reels, all that stuff, I enjoy watching it. Do I know how to set it up to make it beneficial or monetize? No, not at all. So I think there's still a lot of work that can be done there and a lot of opportunity there as well, and something that we're definitely keen to improve over the next year.
Brian, you heard that? Summer internship for the kids. Brian, shout out to his wife, Mama Made Minis, crushing a social media game. Yeah, me too. I could do it too. Send me some WNBA
All right,
games.
bring it on.
Speaking of, someone mentioned Angel Reese, and I can't not mention this. Have you guys been watching those guys that went viral for betting her first
On
shot?
Oh
Stadium
yeah, yeah,
Live.
yeah. I saw that.
Oh
Okay,
man,
so
they got me rolling, those boys.
They did. They did.
all right, so we got to talk about this. Stadium Live has no real betting, which is the funniest
Oh.
part of the whole thing.
No, wait, I never even looked into it.
Yeah. This is the funniest part of the whole thing. I'm on Stadium Live. I love Stadium Live. Shout out to those guys. They built the platform that is a lot of fun to be on, but it's coins. It's a fake currency that only lives
Oh.
in that world, and you can buy stuff to like build up your avatar and cosmetics and stuff. But they have all sorts of insane bets on there. Like you can bet whether or not Sydney Sweeney's going to have a boyfriend by the end of the summer. There's all sorts of wild stuff on there. And so they did this bet one time. Will Angel Reese make her first shot or miss her first shot? And I've been betting on it every time with them because I'm like, oh, this is fun. But it's what's really funny is everybody thinks that it was real money on the line. There was
I
not
thought
a
it was real money.
single. There was not a single cent of real money bet on this. It was all tokens. It was all fake money. And that to me is the funniest part because you go try to find that bet on any actual sports book, it's not there. The bet doesn't exist. You can't make bets like that on almost any platform. Sometimes they'll do stuff like, who will make the next shot and stuff like that, but it's not like a specific player. They just don't do that.
All right, we got it. This isn't a call out for the platform, but Polymarket has it listed right now. Will Angel Reese miss her first shot versus the Liberty?
We got it. Now you have it. Now you have it in real.
We got a 76% chance. Yes, I mean,
Stadium Live has willed it into reality.
Absolutely. I want to hammer the no on this side. It's I think she's she's got to make one eventually here, especially.
Well, she made her first shot in the last game. She got that fast break off the deflected ball and made the first shot in the last game. Which is why it's probably died down a little bit, but I'm glad to see that Polymarket picked it up because Polymarket is the exact kind of book that needs to have those type of props to keep people, they're a social prop market. Like they need to have them.
Yeah, Polymarket's very, very interesting. We always talk about Joe and I for like just sentiment overall. Like even if you're not wagering, you could have pretty much figured out who the vice president of the United States is going to be according to where the money was flowing.
Yep. I mean, you could see who the president was going to be very easily. Like the night of, it was just, it was over. Like I went to bed early because I'm like, all right, Polymarket told me the outcome. Like I don't need to stay up and watch this. And that happens quite a bit. Like there are definitely people with knowledge on that site.
You guys heard it here first. Polymarket integrated with X, maybe next with TopShot. I'm just kidding. Which is a good segue into gaming and whatnot. That's huge, right? Get into fast break because gaming's a big sector. Prediction market is great, but you guys have your own ecosystem, which I know and love. Small observation, I would say, before I ask the question is every time I click into fast break, it takes 10 times longer to load that page versus any other page. Is there a reason for that, Matt? I mean, I know you're not HR tech, but anyways, that's just my one Facebook. I wouldn't even say gripe. I'm just like, I noticed that because I used to work in the domain name industry for like 11 years. And I was like, wow, it takes so long to load the fast break page.
You know what? I'm gonna message my front end guy right now.
Oh, see, I'm helping guys. I'm improving the product because it's like a DNS thing. It's like a setting that they could. I was like, I wonder if you guys did that to like lower costs because if you didn't know, Brian, if any visits into websites, it costs money. So the lower you can get it, the more money you'll save. But every other link works like super lightning fast. And I'm like, I click fast break. I'm like, I wonder why. Is it people clicking it too much but because I play fast break so much. Yeah.
All right, we'll get that looked at ASAP. That's weird. I mean, I didn't notice it was slightly slower, but worth looking into. I'm loading it up now. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. It definitely takes a little bit longer than other sites on on the all the other pages on the site. So
It's
mainly
a,
those
it's a
are
meaningful
indexed into
amount when you
show
do NBA, WNBA, pro mode on
and
both.
pro.
So I'm like,
Yep,
dude,
yep,
I'm spending an
totally.
hour just waiting for these websites to pop up.
Yeah,
Brian, not
yeah, we
like I'm
can't
doing
have
that
that.
during work, but it's just uh that's I know that's why I know it takes long. So, but let's
Yeah,
talk about
yeah, we don't want to churn.
yeah, yeah. Um let's talk about Fast Break. I mean, it's been wow, I don't know how many years I've been playing now, but it's been fun, it's been exciting. What's been, the feedback and any new things coming for Fast Break?
Yeah, so I mean, feedback has been positive. I think it's important that we start getting out some marketing and ads outside of our sort of echo chamber, so to speak. Get more people to know about it. Reach out to some of our lapsed users and say, hey, since you've been gone, we added this game. You have moments of a lot of players that are playing. Do you want to come back and try it out, sort of thing? And so we added pro mode, which you just referred to during this past NBA season. Basically, what pro mode does is it requires specific types of moments or specific sets to, if you have a wider, more higher depth collection, you have a chance to do really well in those, and there's higher prizes as a result of needing, not just any random base set moment of a player. And so it's been really successful. I think there are still some tweaks we need to make, especially for the playoffs. We were talking about the playoffs earlier, how it's so hard to make things work properly in the playoffs. So we'll continue working through that. WNBA, we're going to work on trying to get some extra features in. We've been working on a bench feature, which is pretty close to finish. We
Ooh.
just need to do some final testing on it. Basically, we got to the finish line on that, and there were just some game breaking bugs that we were having trouble with. So just working through that, making sure we don't introduce something to the game that winds up breaking the game after all the work we put into it. But yeah, it's been great. We've been trying to add different things. There's the dashboard now where you can see your lineups at a 10K level. You can see the rewards. You can see how many wins in your longest streak of the season. You can see the games in the league that are being played that day. You can switch between NBA and WNBA. So we're constantly trying to add these quality of life features in that makes it more fun. If you go to the player pages, just making sure that the out stuff is visible everywhere or questionable. Bringing in the news from RotoWire of like what's going on with the players, and we're working through a lot of stuff on NFL right now for playbook, and bringing in box scores and bringing in live scores on the NFL side, which we didn't have last year, and all that kind of stuff. And one big super secret alpha we're working on right now is, and I'll share a little bit, is
Yeah.
Fast Break Legends, which is
Ooh.
going to be simulations involving retired players.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
nice.
I spent a lot of time putting together the 5-man starting lineups. We wanted
Oh my
to
God.
run alongside some of our historic content that'll be coming, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. And just to give you an idea of like the kind of thing we're talking about here, throw me the name of any team, and I'll give you the proposed starting five.
Bulls.
Bulls: Dennis Rodman, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Ben Gordon, and
Derek.
Luol Deng.
Ben Gordon and
So
Luol Deng. Okay, interesting.
So we had to stick with guys that are in product, obviously, and then the obviously guys that are retired from the league. So Celtics is crazy. Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, Larry Bird, Paul Pierce, and Rajon Rondo. Like obviously there's different levels here, but every team is competitive for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't even a question I was going to ask, but I gotta ask it. Like, how's AI integrating with all of this stuff? Like, it's so powerful for the world. I wonder if there's any meaningful, interactions or activations you guys have or integrations with it.
So me and my right hand man, guy named Jordan, we've been actually working on building out a full AI simulation model to run these games, and that imports the data directly into Fast Break. and populates it, every 5 minute intervals, so you can watch the game sort of in real time and see the stats
Ooh.
update and have that same experience. And um, we are actually trying to get it into 2K. I don't think that's going to happen for this summer, but in the future, potentially having 2K simulations where we have all these players in game and people can actually watch the games,
Yeah.
the simulations that are tying in the stats to fast break and stuff like that. So, like I said, trying to innovate, trying to do new, different things, never ever just sitting by and waiting and seeing what happens. There's always some sort of movement going on. We are not complacent. I don't even know what that word means, honestly, because I'm just always trying to push forward, always trying to do new things. And I'm sure my engineers are like, oh, this guy is nonstop, but that's just the way I am. Like if I see something, I'm like, hey, we gotta make this better, we gotta do this. That's the way we make this thing a sticky, fun experience.
Nice. No, that's great to hear. Actual product. Here's a crazy one for more for Roham is if you need money right now, Roham. Everyone's doing public offerings now. You could raise a couple billion with a token drop. We can incorporate Polymarket on here, and you can only bet with Dapper tokens. That'd be pretty crazy. Will Reese make a first
That
shot or not?
Yeah, you could bet your Angel Reese rookie debut and
Right.
get something out of it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many cool things that can be done, and fast breakdown on chain, and AI Sports and a couple other sites are actually pulling that data from chain and are having pricing. Like there's are you familiar with the TShot token?
No.
Okay, so T-Shot token is really cool actually. So basically the way it works is you go to T-Shot and you submit it connects to your wallet and you submit moments that you don't want and it gives you T-Shot
Ooh.
back. Then you take the T-Shot and you put it back in and you get moments back from the inventory and they add
Nice.
random moments in there all the time, nice hits. But like I go in there and like I hate Al Horford. This is not a surprise to anybody who's heard me talk before. I hate Al Horford. I also hate Carl Anthony Towns. I send all my Carl Anthony Towns and Al Horford moments into T shot, and I get back guys I like TJ McConnell
Nice.
or uh Luca or whoever. Like even though they're base set moments or common moments, I'm getting rid of ones that I just don't want and getting guys in that I do want. And actually, I've actually completed two common sets just from going
Wow.
through over and over and over again. And it's quick, it's great, and it
That's
works
so
well. And
cool.
so, like, there's all these cool things that are happening. So, like, there are contests where you can enter and you get T shot back. And so, like, you get 100 T shot, you just got 100 moments just
That's
for playing
nice.
and winning, which is a lot of fun. And you never know what you're going to get, and it reveals it all at once. And it's a lot of fun. So highly recommend that if you haven't tried it out. Shout
I
out to
have
the T Shot
not.
team. Really good stuff there.
That's all. No, that's great. I would have been utilized that all season. Did that come out just this season or did it come a long time
Yeah,
ago?
like
Yeah.
no, like a couple months ago.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Innovation. See, let's see cardboard do that. Let's see cardboard do that. Well,
Yep.
that brings me to my last question, which is Dapper rebates, right? That's a new feature, or I won't say
Mm.
feature. That's a new function that I've seen just this season where people don't know what I'm talking about. You can buy a pack, but if you don't like it, sometimes you'll get a rebate, instant rebate from NBA Top Shot back at 50%, sometimes even as high as like 90% on legendary packs. Yeah, tell us about the thought process behind that because some people love it. I think a lot of people love it more than hate it. And what's been the response and what kind of data have you seen? Is that going to continue? And just, yeah, tell us about that strategy.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of the strategy comes from the idea that we really want always on packs. We want people to show up to the site and be able to grab content if they want it. And the packs marketplace has been a great way to do that. But some of the packs just get a little bit too pricey over there or they're not good enough or whatever the situation may be. So we really wanted to create a situation where people could just rip and rip and rip and rip. And
Mm,
if you get a pack where you don't like the contents, you're probably going to go try to sell them as quickly as you can anyway. So
right.
we're just sort of making that process even quicker so you can just get right into your next pack and really enjoy the ripping experience. And there's definitely still some optimizations and some fun that needs to be added there. Like when you get a big hit, I want confetti, I want fireworks, I want all sorts of noises and that sort of thing. But it definitely had a positive reception. We used a lot of data that we were watching from like Courtyard and BZ and Arena Club and all these other companies that are doing something similar, and kind of looking at the models there. And obviously, digital versus cardboard is very different. Cardboard has 100+ years of content they can use, and they have so much. And we have a very finite amount of content. And so,
Right.
just trying to find ways to do it. And one of the big things is, we're putting stuff out there. If somebody really wants to collect that moment, they're not going to take the offer. If they don't want it, you're going to take the offer that we provide. The moments come back to us, goes right back into the packs, and maybe it goes to somebody else that wants it. And so, it's really interesting to watch how it's playing out. And there's still some optimizations to be made. I think like the different scale of potential outcomes needs to be worked on a little bit, but we're seeing really good feedback from it. People are buying more packs on average, which makes sense if you think about it. Because like, let's say there's a $9 pack and I buy it and I get $5 back, and let's say I start with like $30. All right, 9 down to 21. Okay, 5 back up to 26. 9, okay, down to 17. All right, 5 back up to 22. I'm gonna open almost twice as many packs as I would have without it. And so that makes the product a lot more fun, gives you a better chance of hitting something you really want to keep and get excited about. And I think that sort of thing is just a lot of fun. We just have to make sure it doesn't become too much like a lottery game, too much like a slot machine, too much like that sort of thing. Because if in the playoffs, I think we're offering a little bit above what the moments sort of settled at. And so it's becoming like a chase for those moments, but for the buyback and not necessarily for the moment. And we need to just fine tune it. So, the decision's a little bit more difficult to make than it is right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, cool. No, good breakdown. I found myself ripping more this season. I found myself collecting more. I bought a jersey number of Curry. I told Brian, I was like, I bought a Steph Curry
Nice.
jersey number.
That's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Love
love
that.
it. I love it. So yeah, I love it. I love everything that you said today. I didn't know so much was going on underneath the hood. Like, it seems like the fire's burning for you and also for hopefully across all Top Shot. Makes me more excited. Makes me give me more ammunition to like, hey, make the trip to Vegas. See what you guys are doing, hang out.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Any other questions, Brian?
Just curious, who's going to win the NBA Finals? In what game? I could use that information.
I'm gonna say Thunder in 6. I know that Indiana has become the darlings and like the team you can't kill, and they never say never. But this Thunder team is just so well coached, so disciplined. They're the best defensive team in the league. I think the Magic's going to come to an end. I think the Pacers will eke out one more win, but I don't see this going 7, and I don't see the Pacers winning. And hey, I'd love for Hallie and crew to prove me wrong. And Carlisle's done it before in a series that he had no business winning against the Heatles in 2011 with Dirk. And so if there's a coach and a team that can do it, it's the Pacers. But I just think the Thunder just have too much quality for the Pacers to overcome.
All right, I'm Thunder in 5. I don't think they win a game. Thunder in 5. They already got their darling moment. But Joe, give it to me.
No, I agree. They shouldn't have lost game 1, right? They had 24 turnovers, Indiana, and they still won. Like, how? Like, anyways.
Yeah.
But hey, Caitlin Clark magic could happen if she's on the court side the next 2 games. Something can happen.
You never know.
What the heck?
It's like, you ever see that movie Angels in the Outfield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the Pacers are this offseason.
That's true. That really is. They in some of those game winners, I mean, they're throwing it up with 0.3 seconds left, are some ugly shots, and they're just that wasn't it. It was the series before. Is that when Hallie
ball bounced in the area against the Knicks? Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I watching right now? But it's I think it's come to an end. But I hope they prove me wrong. I really do. I would love to see it, but.
I just want the games to be competitive. I don't want a few more blowouts. I want them to be close because it's been a really fun playoffs.
It feels like the Thunder are gonna no lead safe. They obviously know, so I don't think they're. You saw it last game. Obviously, they didn't want to blow another 15-point lead or something, or a 20-point lead. So you kind of saw those starters in there for a while. I have a feeling that they're going to kind of have the pedal to the metal the entire game moving forward, and that's why I think it could be tough for Indiana.
Yeah, Jalen Williams was mic'd up, and they caught him on the bench when they were up 15. Like, hey, they're comfortable at 15. We got it. We got to keep going. We got to get more on the board because they're comfortable at 15. And I think that says it all. Like they got hit in the mouth and they came back and they're like, all right, that's not going to work on us again. Like we're going to put you guys away. So yeah.
In NFL terms, the Buffalo Bills do that a lot because they've lost a lot of big leads. So if you're playing like DFS or fantasy football at all and you're doing daily lineups, I know I'm always like, well, I know the Bills, even if they're winning by 3 touchdowns, they're
keeping all the starters in.
Yeah, they're still going to be chucking it. So, all right, that's all I had there, Joe.
All right. Yeah, no, yeah. That is exciting. It's exciting. I'm excited about the finals. I just like basketball, exciting basketball overall, and we got that this season. I'm excited for WNBA season. I'm excited for Valkyries playing Fever this next week. A lot of things to be excited for. I'm excited about TopShot. So, Matt, if you want people to find you, how can they find you? And what's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, so on X, I'm at Vinyls Never Die, and I definitely invite everybody to start following the new Fast Break X account that we started, which is at Fast Break Games. We put information on there. We have giveaways on there. We have notifications about like out players and things like that. So definitely a good follow, something that we are starting to build out, just getting started. Probably a little bit less posting than we'd want to so far, but definitely something that will be increasing in the days and weeks to come.
Nice. Also, Matt, it's been amazing having you on. We can't wait for a year again. We got to get you on sooner because there's so much more sports to talk about. Like it seems like you got the ins for the NFL also for NFL All Day. So we definitely gotta get you back on sooner than a year next time.
Sounds great. You just let me know and we'll jam.
All right.